I don't even know how to articulate my own feelings about this because it's so stupid that I feel stupid talking about it. A bunch of chodes who made her look like a blue-haired, bug-eyed Karen. I feel sick to my stomach right now. I hated everything about this book. I didn't think the writing was good. I didn't think the characters were good. I didn't think the plot was surprising in any way, and I dreaded every single time I had to pick it up, and I wanted to talk shit about it so bad. And so here I am. Ow. Hey! It's time to listen to me talk again. Awesome! So I have a bit of an update, a sad one, and then a kind of good one, depending on how you want to look at it. I'm not going to explain all the details and the drama, maybe in a vlog sometime soon. Let's start with the good part. This is Jinx. This is Miss Jinxie Winxie. And she's just a baby. And she's mine now. She's also a demon. I love her so much. But we unfortunately lost Junie. Which, you juice didn't know him too well. Because I started making videos for fun just a little bit ago. Junie was only 3 years old, and he had some health problems that required me to have him put down last week, which is objectively the worst thing that's ever happened to me. No, I did not get Jinx right after Junie to just get another cat in here. Jinx actually, I'll explain further some other time, but basically there was someone being very mean to a few cats outside of my job, and I took them and ran, and Jinx was one of those cats, and that was about a week before we lost Junie. So seems a little cosmic. Junie didn't really vibe with her like that though, so I won't say that he sent her for me. He would never do something like that. He would want me to mourn him and never feel joy again. So I feel like it would be weird to not say that, because you did meet him briefly, and he was the light of my life, and he was the devil, and I loved him so much. Here's Piper. Here's my Piper girl who's being so brave about losing her brother, and about having this annoying little kitten in her house instead. And here she is. And she hates, okay, bye. And this is Jinxie Winxie. Anywho, now that that horrible update is out of the way, I'm here to talk about the books that I read in May. So we have a couple of absolutely horrible, awe-inspiringly bad books that I decided to pick up in the month of May. And then we also have a couple of bangers. So I'm really excited to talk about them. Let's go chronologically. How about we take a walk in my shoes of how May went for me? So I started May with Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which late to that party, for sure. As you guys know, Piper, get off my table. Piper, as you guys know, I have just recently picked up my very first sci-fi. I know I'm late. I loved this. I feel stupid telling you what it was about because you already know. This was about a man named Jason who was attacked on the street, essentially, dragged off to a warehouse, drugged, and then later woke up in a completely new environment that he didn't understand with people that he didn't know. And we kind of follow him in his journey of figuring out what just happened to him. He is no longer married to his wife. He doesn't have a child in this world. He has no clue what's going on, and everyone around him expects him to know what's going on. This had me on the edge of my seat. I had a great time with this. I want to say I rated it 4 stars, which is really good. I rated it 3.75 stars. Okay. There's nothing super prosy going on here. This didn't affect me super emotionally, but the plot in this was so unsettling, and throughout the entire book I was just dying to find out what happens next, which is awesome. So this was a 3.7 stars. Really enjoyed this. No notes. I think for what it was awesome. Next up, I read a book actually on my Kindle. Guys, I got a Kindle! And it's awesome! I have never been down for an e-read ever in my life. I have always been exclusively into physical books. I gave in, I bought a Kindle, and it's everything to me. And I'm having such a nice time. It is a little bit frustrating because I love collecting books and I'm having a hard time with reading books on my Kindle, really enjoying them, and then not wanting to buy them afterwards as a physical copy because I've already read them, but I want to have them. I can read in the bathtub. I read in bed with all my lights off. Ideal scenario. I love it so much. Anywho, this next book I read on my Kindle. It was called Dissolution by Nicholas Binge. I want to say that this actually just came out. Yeah, so this was released in 2024, and I have not seen a lot of people talk about it. I actually heard about it from another booktuber. Yeah, it only has 1,000 ratings on Goodreads. I really enjoyed this. So in this book, we follow this old lady who's our primary narrator, and it's kind of told in like an interview fashion. There's this man, Hassan, that she is in this empty pool with. As the story goes on, we don't know why, but Hassan is asking Maggie to tell him every single detail of everything that's happened to her in the past like month, which is confusing because Hassan was there for a lot of it and she's still telling him like he's heard this for the first time and we don't know why. Jinx just attacked my camera. I don't know if this is the same for him that we were once in. So Maggie's husband Stanley has dementia and is in an old folks home. Hassan has come into Maggie's life basically telling her that Stanley doesn't actually have dementia. Somebody is taking his memories away and he needs to show her why by having her enter his memories. So there's basically this contraption that she can go into and physically insert herself in Stanley's memories. This book is wild, but so fun. There's like a weird little like dark academia vibe to it because in a lot of Stanley's memories, it was when he was in school in this very exclusive class with only like 4 kids in it that was all about memory. So cool. I think I gave it a 3.5 stars because I didn't love Maggie's voice. The only character that I really enjoyed was Stanley. Maggie was old, but I didn't feel that the perspective was correct from Maggie. It was just awkward at times. Hassan was super weird too, which he was supposed to be, but it kind of felt choppy and the dialogue felt broken at times because of it. Also, Maggie randomly would say stuff like she had a crush on Hassan that never fleshed out in any meaningful way in the story. Literally didn't matter at all. She's explaining to him something that happened like 2 weeks ago and she's like, when you put your hand on my arm, I felt goosebumps, or like, your smile made me nervous, or something like so weird. She's 80, he's like in his 20s. Super just awkward and unnecessary. Like, why do you need to have this old woman attracted to this young man? Did absolutely nothing for the story. Didn't love that, and also just didn't love that it was narrated by Maggie. So, plot was there, characters, 1 out of 3 of them was really fun to read. But overall, I did like it, so that was fun. Next. I hated this. I hated every single thing about this. I gave this 1 star, would have given it a 1/2 star if I could. Just absolutely insufferable. Really, I don't have anything else to say about it. The reviews for this were so good that I'm actually wondering if everybody's pranking me about it. So her name was Margaret too, oh my god. So this follows Margaret, her and her husband just bought this old Victorian mansion and she's obsessed with it. And the descriptions, in the first 10 pages of this book, the descriptions of that home were really fun. I thought it was gonna be like kind of a gothic vibe. Everything goes downhill from there. Margaret and Hal are living in this house and every September, the walls bleed. And the ghost children start doing weird things. And they're screaming at night. Walls bleeding, corny, doesn't sound scary to me in the first place. That's why I never picked this book up. I had heard about this book so many times and I said, I don't want to read about walls bleeding. That doesn't scare me at all. That's just stupid. And I had heard so many good things about it that I finally picked it up. I said, you know what? Maybe it's done well. No, it is not. Spoiler, it's not done well at all. It's horrible. It's corny. Basically, Hal left Margaret. He said, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm scared here. Bye. And so He disappeared, and now Margaret's daughter, Catherine, is coming to the house. Catherine has not been to this house since Margaret and Hal bought it. For several weeks, Margaret did not tell Catherine that her father was missing at all. She just let Hal leave and kept it a secret from Catherine. Catherine would ask to talk to her dad when she was on the phone with her mom, and Margaret would say, oh, he's busy right now, he doesn't want to talk, bye. So now Margaret has finally told Catherine that her husband has left her, and Catherine is on her way. She's hopping on a plane to come to the September house to figure out what happened to her dad, because nobody's heard from him since he left. This is just really, really terrible. Nothing about it is scary. It's like these ghosts just live in the house with her, like she knows their names, and oh, that one has a cleaver in her head and I see her all the time. There is absolutely nothing eerie about it. There's nothing scary about it. Actually, I lied. There's exactly one point during which this book was scary, and this is when Margaret and Catherine went out into the world to go asking around about where Hal has been and if anyone has seen him, and people in public start being a little bit weird and saying things to Margaret. I won't tell you what they're saying, but they keep saying a single line to Margaret. Every way she turns, this random person she's never seen before says this exact same line. That is spooky. That is spooky, that's confusing, that's weird. I love confusing and weird. I don't love when every single thing is handed to you, like you enter this story, you already know the ghosts, the walls have been bleeding for 2 or 3 years, and everything's already established. You don't get to follow Margaret in the beginning of this timeline when everything starts to go weird and you don't get any of the confusing aspects of it or the haunted house vibes at all. You just enter this story. There's ghosts, Margaret's accepted it, she likes the house, and so that's it. And honestly, I hated it. Every single thing that happens in this book, I guessed out loud to my girlfriend 30 pages in. Every single plot twist that occurred, I guessed it on page 30. Because this book hands you everything. This book thinks that you're stupid and can't make any connections and can't have any thoughts of your own, so it hands you everything on a silver platter. This is not a YA book either. The characters are also so one-dimensional. Margaret is just this old lady who likes her house and keeps saying things like, rules, if you follow the rules, everything will be okay. Not in a creepy way, just in like a, okay, she likes living here, so she deals with the ghosts. And Catherine is just her lesbian daughter who is a lesbian and does lesbian things and also wants to know where her dad is and cusses a lot. No depth to any of these characters, not even the ghosts. Something that I hate about horror is being shown the scary thing. I don't like that. I love horror movies until we get to the point where you can see the creature and or ghost. You lost me. If you keep this demon or ghost or whatever just out of reach to where you never actually lay your eyes on it, but you can see everything that it does, that's scary. That's why Paranormal Activity is awesome. I don't care what any of you say. Every single one of those movies is awesome. You never see a ghost. That's corny. Show me a ghost and it's corny immediately. The one time they kind of showed you a ghost is when this little sheet ghost came into the room and then the babysitter was like, oh, you silly kid, but then there was no kid under the sheet. That was kind of awesome though. The movie The Ritual, I loved that movie until we got to the point where we're seeing a monster come out of the woods. Boo! Boo! I hate that. These ghosts being fully fleshed out, just like existing entities in this house was so horrible for me. I hated everything about this book. I didn't think the writing was good. I didn't think the characters were good. I didn't think the plot was surprising in any way, and I dreaded every single time I had to pick it up, and I wanted to talk shit about it so bad. And so here I am. Also, just like none of their interactions make sense. Everything is so convenient and things are just like glazed over. Margaret's whole thing is that she doesn't want Catherine to find out that the house is haunted. She can't see the blood coming from the walls. She can't see the ghosts. Like, she has to ask the ghosts to go away while Catherine is there. And it's so unrealistic, it hurts. At one point, Catherine discovers something weird that can't be explained away by anything else. I believe it was a wound on Margaret that one of these little demon children named Elias had inflicted upon her. And so Catherine questioned this thing, and Margaret said, oh, that's just Elias. And Catherine said, who? End of conversation. Moved on, conversation over. Margaret just didn't answer the question and Catherine stopped caring. What do you mean? We have to be serious. At some point, you find a wound on your mom says, oh, that's just Elias. name you've never heard before, a person who doesn't live with your mom, and you say, who? Anyway, like, what are we talking about? I can't live like this anymore. That's enough of that slander. I have some more for you. Next up, also on my Kindle, I took it upon myself to read The Staircase in the Woods by Chuck Wendig. Never trust a man named Chuck. I don't know what I was thinking. This book sucked so bad. Guys, I'm going to freak out. I don't even know how to convey to you how horrible this book was. Let me start with the plot, maybe. Maybe we could start with the plot. So basically, there's this group of friends. In the beginning, it's a little bit of dual timeline when they were in high school. And they were in the woods, and there was this mysterious staircase in the woods that was attached to nothing, that was super spooky and weird, and one of their friends went up it, and he never came back. Ooh. That could be scary, that could be scary. That could be scary. That's actually a really cool idea. Now, present day, these friends are back in the woods. One of them has decided that they found another staircase, they need to go up it, and they need to find Maddie, their friend that disappeared up there all those years ago. Fun. I'm down. Even what happens after that was good. They find themselves in this weird labyrinth of rooms that are ever changing. Every time they open a door, it's a different room that something horrible and tragic has happened in. That's awesome. Let me tell you what's not awesome. Every single one of these characters, every single one of them, not purposefully unlikable in any way. This is on accident. This author, how old is Chuck Wendig? I can't wait to tell you how old Chuck Wendig is. He's not even a millennial. This author is 49 years old and has created the most insufferably millennial, corny characters you could ever possibly imagine. I took notes. Let's talk about them. I'm just gonna read you this list of things that I hated and maybe expand on a few of them. One of the chapters was named New Room, Who This? As the camera has moved again, it's because I had to figure out what this bitch said. One of our main characters, who we are supposed to like, said these words: I am a queer woman who is pansexual, gender fluid, aromantic, ADHD. I don't know if this author has ever met a person before. He has created such a caricature of what he thinks that a modern queer person is and talks like, and it is insufferable. I hate her. I hate this character so much. Not as much as I hate Chuck, though. Multiple times in the book, the sentence, "what the fucking fuck," was said. Another one of our main character's primary characteristics was that he bites his nails. And it is a thing. All his friends call him Nail Biter. Sometimes he will say things like, God, I wish I could bite my nails right now. Or, I passed my sliver of nails on the counter. Like, this is a primary piece, which eventually led into character development of us finding out something new about this character, but it lasted the entire time, and nobody talks like this. Nobody is calling their friend who bites their nails Nail Biter. 10 years after the last time that they spoke. Nobody's honing in on this. I rip my nails to absolute shreds, and nobody that I know cares. I don't care. I never have the conscious thought, God, I wish I could bite my nails right now. I just do it. I don't even know how to articulate my own feelings about this because it's so stupid that I feel stupid talking about it. Another sentence pulled directly from the text. I don't know shit from shit, Nail Biter. Good God, get me out of here, help me! There was a point in which our main character, ADHD, aromantic, pansexual, gender fluid, queer woman, gender fluid, queer woman, gender fluid, queer woman, gender fluid, queer woman, passes a piece of furniture in which something has been carved, like with a knife, like carved, and she discovers that it had to have been their friend Maddie who carved it because it's his handwriting. Because she knows him so well and loves him so deeply that she knows that this carving is his handwriting. He held a knife in his hand like this, and he carved something into a piece of furniture, and somehow whatever that product was aligns with his typical holding a pencil like this, writing, handwriting. I am so mad. I'm so mad that I read this fucking book. A bunch of chodes who made her look like a blue-haired, bug-eyed Karen. I feel sick to my stomach right now. The amount of pop culture references. There was a version of Trump in this novel with just a different name that they were referencing in all their stupid political conversations that really meant nothing. They were just a means to help us find out that she was a pansexual, gender fluid, aromantic, ADHD queer woman. He just needed to get that out of his system. He does not like Trump. Good for you, Chuck. So devastatingly fake modern. This is how he thinks that people talk in the real world. This is how this 40-what-year-old? This is how this 49-year-old man thinks that the 30-somethings of the world are talking, which, albeit they aren't far from it, but this should never be put on paper. Timu was mentioned at one point. Just like, fucking dude, get me out. I can't even think about it anymore. All in all, the plot was really cool. The premise for this book was really cool, and it could have been executed in such a fun and new way, and it was not. Unfortunately, this was insufferable. If you are the worst type of millennial, maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll think it's funny. If you are under the age of 30, do not pick up this book. Unless you want to rip all of your skin off. Next up, I read Foe by Ian Reid, which I think was good. I did rate it 2.5 stars though. I think it was good for somebody that's not me. As you guys know, setting is so important to me, and this book lacked it completely. On purpose though. That's why I say it was still good. So this follows a man named Junior and his wife Henrietta. They live in the middle of nowhere. Junior works at this like factory. He's completely happy with their current life. He doesn't want anything more. He doesn't desire for anything outside of that. Henrietta, on the other side, wants to live a more interesting life. She doesn't want to live in the middle of nowhere. She wants to go to the city. She wants to have experiences of any kind, which she's not currently having with her husband. This is why I say that I believe the lack of setting was on purpose, is because Henrietta was so unhappy and felt so stifled and stuck in that environment, and I think that that was supposed to come across for us, and it did. I felt stifled, I felt stuck, I felt bleak and just unhappy inside of this novel. It's a pretty short book, but I just felt so much dread while I was reading it. Essentially, at the beginning of the book, Henrietta and Junior notice a car pulling into their driveway. They aren't expecting anyone. This is super weird. It looks like a government kind of like blacked out SUV. And a man comes up to the door and says, "Hey, I'm with this organization. We're actually colonizing a new planet that we've created, and you're on the long list. You've been chosen." To Junior. They had been listening to him through his screen, and he had said the words travel and space before, and so he was selected for the long list, and he doesn't have a choice. He has to go. But not for a while. It's not going to happen for like 2 years, and also you don't know if you'll make it onto the short list, so just calm down. So basically we follow Junior and Henrietta throughout this 2-year period where everything's just a little bit weird, and I won't tell you anything more than that. I think that the plot was really clever. I think that the ending was very clever. I like knowing that I could go back to the beginning of this book and pick up clues that would lead me to our final twist. I don't like mysteries that just like halfway through decide what's gonna happen and then nothing before that hinted to what the ending was gonna be. This book was not like that. I think it was very cleverly constructed. For me personally, I don't like books with this tone. I didn't like being there. I wanted to get out. But I think that it has great reviews for a reason, and I can respect it. I don't ever want to read it again, though. Last on the list, guys, we've made it to the end, and I'm so excited to talk about this book. Oh my god! Oh my god. Okay, so we've kind of briefly talked about how hard it is for me to give a book a 5 stars. Spoiler alert, this was not a 5-star. God damn it. But it almost was. Let me break down how I rate books. Starting at a 1 star. 1 star, it was horrible. It was horrible. You say things like, what the fucking fuck, over and over and over again, and I just don't want to be here anymore. 2 stars. It was horrible, but I was kind of interested. That's what a 2-star gives for me. 3 stars for me is very just middle ground. A lot of the mysteries that I've read, like my Frida McFadden's, 3 stars. I had a good time reading it. I didn't think it was horribly written. I wasn't angry the entire time that I was reading it, but it also wasn't expertly crafted with life-changing prose and completely fleshed out characters. 3 is just very baseline. That was a good book. I would recommend it if somebody wants a quick read. 4 stars. Well, we'll skip 4 stars and we'll go to 5. 5 stars is beautiful prose. Beautiful prose. If it's a plot-heavy book, the plot kept me engaged the entire time. I loved our characters. They felt fleshed out and realistic to me. And also, importantly, it has changed me in some fundamental way. Something about me feels like it is different than I was before I picked this book up. That's very important to me with a 5-star read. So, a 4-star read essentially is a 5-star read that was missing any of those points. So maybe it was all of the 5-star things, but it didn't have great prose. Maybe it was all of the 5-star things, but I wasn't obsessed with the characterization. Maybe it was 5 stars and it didn't technically fundamentally change me for life. That's what this was. This was the perfect haunted house story. I loved it so much, but I don't think on an emotional level this did anything crazy for me. 4.75 stars though. Every other box got ticked. So this follows our main character Anna and her entire family. Anna is kind of the black sheep of the family. They're all pretty rich. They grew up going to Cape Cod, and they have decided that they are going to take a family vacation to Italy. Anna's not super thrilled about it. She doesn't want to hang out with her sister. She doesn't want to hang out with her brother's new weird snobby boyfriend. She doesn't want to hang out with her parents, but she's going because it's Italy and it's her family and she has to. They get to this villa in Italy and it is gorgeous, but also kind of weird. There's this tower that has no windows and is completely closed off, and you cannot have access to it from the main house. She's there with her family, her sister's being a bitch, her brother's new boyfriend is so annoying and snobby and hates her for no reason. Everybody hates Anna for no reason in this novel. I will say, she's not a perfect person, and she can be annoying and she is kind of self-centered. However, everything that everybody's mad at her in this novel for is completely arbitrary and does not matter, and also is just kind of not her fault most of the time. I won't get too far into it. Basically, when they checked into this Italian villa, they were given a key to this tower that doesn't have any windows and is completely blocked off and covered up by a tapestry, but they're not supposed to use the key or enter the tower. Of course, somebody does at some point. This is so spooky and eerie and weird, and I love it. This is the perfect amount of what the fuck is going on, and also just like beautiful Italian scenery and family drama. I loved every second of this. This was perfect for me. This was super unsettling things happening sporadically, and you're questioning whether or not it's real or our main character is going insane. I love that. And this might be a little bit of a spoiler, so if you super plan on reading this, maybe skip ahead. At the end, you do meet this entity of a person in the way that I said that I hated, but I didn't hate it in this book because everything else about this was so perfect. I loved it. This was the perfect haunted house story. I had trouble reading it at night because I was actually afraid, which is awesome. That's exactly what I want when I'm reading a horror book. And so this was very, very, very close to a 5-star, but not technically a 5-star for me. I want every single one of you to read this because this was crazy. And that's it. That's all that I've read in the month of May. I think June is gearing up to be an awesome reading month as well because I just started The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, and if you know me, you know that I am a fantasy hater, and I think this is technically fantasy, but I'm having a really fun time with it, so I think it's going to be great. And maybe we'll set the tone for another good reading month. I wouldn't say another in regards to May because there were 2 absolutely deplorable pieces of fiction that I would erase from the planet if I had the chance, but regardless, I'll chat at you later. Thank you for listening to me yap once more.